Okay, we're going to start if everybody's ready. Good afternoon to all the libraries. If I could just ask all the participating libraries to just mute their volume while I'm speaking, and then when it's question and answer time, we will, you can unmute, but it'll be easier for us to navigate this for some reason. I don't know. For the recording purposes. So again, welcome. My name is Kim Pittman. I'm an attorney in Portland, Maine, practicing in family law, and I want to welcome you to the Volunteer Lawyer Project's video workshop series on civil legal topics. Today's presentation is going to be about family law and navigating through the court system for divorce and parental rights cases. We're going to have a question and answer period after I give you some general basic information about the process in Maine and procedures that might be useful to you. You just need to please remember that I can't give you individual legal advice to anyone during this workshop. I will be able to answer general questions, but I can't give specific advice through this project. And if you need further information about after the video workshop about the family law process, please ask the librarian to connect you to the helpmelaw.org website, and you can get further information from that. Also, it's really important that you sign in and that you fill out the evaluation form after the session is finished. We don't need to have your name, but we do need statistics for our funding. So again, my name is Kim Pittman, and I'm a family lawyer in town. And so basically today we're going to talk about how to do divorce and how to do parental rights cases. So the first thing you need to do, you need to get some court forms. And those court forms are available at your local district court. And they are $5 for a packet. And you're going to get a packet of forms that include the complaint for divorce or parental rights. And they're going to include other forms that you need to fill out. And we'll go over that in a minute. But the first thing to do is get those forms from the court. You can also download some of those forms online off of Help Me Law's website or Pine Tree Legal Assistance, ptla.org. They also have the forms online, and so you can get every form you need except for your summons. The summons has to be original, and the court charges you $5 for that form. So the forms you're going to need, you need the actual complaint. And so if you are married with children, you fill out a complaint for divorce with children. If you don't have children, they have a complaint without children. And also, if you're not married, you fill out what's called a determination of parental rights and responsibilities complaint. And that is going to let the court determine what's going to happen with your children, but the court's not going to make any decisions about personal property or financial assets, because not being married, the court has no jurisdiction over that. So one of those two complaints you're going to get from the court. And the information on that form is it's basically where you were married, where you reside now, where your spouse or partner lives right now, the names of your children, their ages, very basic information that you would have all the answers to. There is also what's called a summary sheet that the court uses to pretty much record all of your contact information. So that's going to have your name, your address, your phone number, how the court contacts you if you don't have an attorney representing you, how they're going to get in touch with you via mail, or if they have to call you. So it's really important that you have all that information written down specifically for the court, especially for the opposing party, which is your soon-to-be ex-spouse or partner that you're doing, that you're filing this complaint for. It's very important that the court have their correct information, because if they don't and they miss a date, but they didn't know about it, then you can't go forward in the court system. Sometimes you don't know where that person lives, and that is a rare instance, but it does happen when you can't find that person. And if that happens, you can contact the court and ask for further clarification as to what they want you to do. And there are certain forms you can fill out to get them served in a way other than in person. You're also going to fill out what's called a child support affidavit. And on that child support affidavit, you're going to list where you work, what your income was for last year, what your income is for this year, and what expenses you have for your children, as such as daycare expenses, or if you have if you pay for health insurance for your children, that'll be on there. If your children have any extraordinary health concerns that the court either would need to know about, or you pay extra money on a weekly basis for your child for his or her medical needs, that's something that would go on this child support affidavit too. You're also going to list your assets generally, such as if you have a home, the value of your home, how much debt is on the home, if you have any credit card debt, loans, if you have a car, what's in your bank account, financial information to that effect. And that's a form. It's called a child support affidavit. It needs to be notarized by either a notary public or an attorney. Usually the clerks in the court can notarize those for you, or a lot of times there's a notary at your library or your bank or something like that. So that's the other form you're going to fill out. There's one other form is a social security form, and that form you're just giving the court your social security number. The court's not going to share that with anybody. It's on a separate piece of paper, so you don't have to be worried that it's going to be public knowledge. So that you fill out, and then there is the summons itself, which is just you're filling in what's called the caption. So if you are Joe Smith and you want to divorce Jane Smith, you are the plaintiff, Joe Smith, and then Jane Smith is going to be the defendant. So that's just a matter of filling out that caption for the court. If you do have problems if you have any problems with filling out these forms and you're not sure about something or you're unclear about something, there are a number of places that you can get information. Like I mentioned before, the Pine Tree website might have some information for you. There's a program called CHAP, which is Courthouse Assistance Program Project or program. And it's in Portland. It's on Thursdays between 1 and 4, and you can go in and there's volunteer lawyers there to help you fill out forms if you have some questions on that. That's a really good resource for people. You can also call the helpline at VLP, but sometimes going to chat might be a little easier because you can get right in. There's sometimes a wait, but not always. There's also programs in Biddeford and Lewiston and Augusta now. So those are the forms you're going to fill out, and once you fill out those forms, you need to serve the forms, because unless the court has proof that you've served someone, they can't start the process in the court. So you can serve them 3 different ways. You can give them the paperwork and they can sign what's called an acknowledgement of summons, which just says they received the paperwork, and that is another piece of paper that you would get in the packet from the court. You can send it by certified mail, restricted delivery, which means they personally have to sign for the document that comes in the mail. And when you get the green card back, that's proof to the court that they've been served. The third way, if you can't do it that way and you're not having any luck, is to send it to your sheriff's office and have your sheriff serve the paperwork. It's usually between $25 and $40. Sometimes if you're low income, you can ask the court for a fee waiver, and you could get your fees waived for service by sheriff, for filing fees for the actual divorce or parental rights case, and also mediation fees in the future. So that's also, if it's a low income situation, definitely fill out the waiver, the form for a waiver of fees. So once you have proof of service, you send it to the court. It's $120 to file an initial complaint for either a divorce or a parental rights case. And once the court has that proof of service, they're going to set you up for what's called a case management conference. And at that case management conference, you're going to go in front of what is called a family law magistrate. And that family law magistrate is going to guide you through the process up until final hearing. So any issues involving the children, the family the magistrate's going to try to work with you to make sure that the kids are being taken care of, because that's really the number one priority for the family law court and the magistrates, to make sure that the kids are being taken care of. So that those issues can involve child support, which we'll go into in a minute, where the children are going to live, how contact's going to go with either parent. And then the court from there is going to guide you and decide whether or not they should send you to a mediation so you can mediate your issues, whether you need an interim hearing, which means something needs to be decided before there's a final judgment in your divorce or parental rights case, and it needs to be heard quicker than it would normally be heard in a final hearing. The court could order what's called a guardian ad litem to be appointed for the children, which is someone who represents the interests of the children and reports back and makes recommendations to the court. So there's a number of things the magistrate will do at that case management conference. So I want to talk a little bit about what issues there are for a divorce. So when you have children, you have the children issues are twofold. There's parental rights and responsibilities, and then there's residency. So in the state of Maine, we have what's called parental rights and responsibilities, which can either be shared, they can be allocated, or they can be sole parental rights. And what that means is who's going to make the major decisions for the children? Who's going to decide where these children will go to school, how they'll be raised, what kind of religion they'll be raised in, if they need a major operation, who's going to decide that? 9 times out of 10, parties are going to have shared parental rights. Very rarely does one parent get sole parental rights or allocated parental rights, and that happens in cases when one parent perhaps has some kind of substance issues, or has mental health or physical issues, or some kind of an issue that they cannot possibly be part of the decision making for what's best for the children. So again, it doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And parties can also, you can also agree to an allocated rights situation. But for the most part, you're going to usually have shared parental rights, and the parents are going to have to work with each other to decide what's best for their children. And then you have residency. And residency of the children, you're either going to have one parent having primary residency and the other parent having contact with the children, or you're going to have a situation where you have a shared residency, where the children perhaps spend equal time in each parent's home. Again, this is something that is different from family to family. Sometimes it works to have a shared residency, and we see a lot of shared residencies in Maine now. Sometimes it just doesn't work, either geographically or one parent lives in northern Maine, one lives in southern Maine. So someone has to be primary, and sometimes someone has to be primary for school purposes. So that's something that you can, again, work out through mediation, or if it comes to it, in a final hearing, a judge will determine what is best for the children. It's not what's best for the parents and what the parents want necessarily. It's what's going to be in these children's best interest. And that's the one thing that the court is always going to be concentrating on. It's like, what's in the children's best interest.